I don't know if this is a funny story or not, but I'm sharing it anyway. I lived in a very small town called Georgetown, Tasmania, and there weren't a lot of people that came from that town that became famous. My sister was a jockey who rode internationally and has a little bit of a reputation. But before her, there was Danny Clark. Danny Clark was a cyclist. He rode in the Olympics. He was world renowned. He won the Olympics. I found out later, because he came back to our town, because we knew Danny Clark had come from our town, but what I found out later was he actually lived in my house and he actually had my room. So I was in the room that he had. So the boys' room was still the boys' room, I guess, when he lived there. My parents moved there after his family moved out. And when I was a little kid, you could still see that he'd written his name on, scratched his name into the wood of the windowsill. So when he came back to the town and he was, meeting the students and asking questions, I very clumsily, very embarrassingly asked him, when you lived in Georgetown, did you used to live in 22 Patterson Crescent where I lived? And he said, yes, he did. I said, were you in the front room? And he said, yes. I said, because I was always told that I had the same room you did. So I kind of felt special because the only person who ever came from the town who was famous lived in my house and lived in the same room that I had. So I guess that helped my sense of self-importance and narcissism, that I felt like somehow I was going to be someone special and leave the town and, be a famous artist as well, of course. So, I don't know, I just wanted to share that story. I don't know much about Danny Clark. I had a little bit of a look at his history and that. He started cycling in the 70s. He still was winning races up into the 80s. He did have a fairly bad injury. He had to have a hip replacement, was broken. We always talked about him. The other person we always talked about was Peter Brock. He didn't live in our town. We didn't know him, but he was just one of those celebrities I think my brother liked because he was into racing. But I meant to mention that when I was talking about Georgetown, because he was the only person to come from Georgetown to become famous. But I thought he deserved his own video. But it's not actually about him and his career. It's just about, the fact he lived in my house. And I got to meet him. It felt important in the moment. And when you're a little kid, little things like that feel big. Like I remember one of my nieces was writing letters to Harry's practice and he wrote back to her, and that felt really special because she had a signed photo from Harry, the vet, Dr. Harry. Little things like that, they can seem very big when you're in a little town and you're a little kid. So I just wanted to share that.